This is Barbie, Bell's Palsy Talk Live. Very excited to be talking to Heather today. Hey, Heather, how are you?
I've never done an Instagram live, so forgive me. I was like pressing all kinds of buttons, like, what am I doing?
No, no worries. When I first started doing it, I didn't even know how to invite somebody. So don't worry. It was just me
Oh,
talking so
wow.
much, which I
Oh
thought
my God.
maybe I should get some other people on here so it's not just
Yes,
me talking all the time.
I know. It's comforting, right?
Yeah. So how have you been? How are you this morning?
I'm great. It's been kind of crazy. We've had a little cold going on in our household, and so I've been fighting kind of a sinus infection, but I think today it's been a lot better. So
Yeah.
we're
Well, you're a mom, right? So no rest for the
we're
wicked. So you have three. How old are your
yes.
kids? You have three?
Uh, so I have an 8-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 2-year-old, and
Wow.
Dad taking them to the park. And if you hear a dog in the background, we have a dog as well. So I apologize.
No,
He's
no.
upset. I threw him in the kennel because he will be up in my business the whole time or chewing up something he shouldn't be because he's still a puppy.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
yeah,
you have a puppy too. Three kids and a puppy. You're
gosh, yeah, yeah.
That's
So
awesome.
and yeah, I think he's like 10 months old, like 11 months old, and he's like a big dog too. So he thinks he's a cat, which is interesting. He was raised by two cats. So yeah, he's crazy. But
That's
yeah.
awesome. Thank you so much to everybody who's joining us. We have some viewers here coming on this morning. So Heather is, I connected with her on Instagram. Well, of course, because that's where we do these things. And Heather is, like I said, a mother of three. And a post that really caught my attention, excuse me, is that so Heather's had Bell's palsy now for 20 years and has had trouble posting photos of herself on social media. And of course, that's a big issue that we have, a lot of us here. And the post that caught my attention, I'm going to read a little bit about it, is that, she found a picture, most recent picture that I pushed into the do not share pile. And you post that recently on Instagram. And that really drew my attention. And I just love your positive, and your bravery to put that up there. And so tell me a little bit about that. It looks like it was a photo from a friend's wedding or something like that.
So it was actually a funeral, unfortunately. Yeah, I struggled and I was diagnosed at 9 years old. And so growing up, my parents were super, encouraging and, tried to always, give me that little boost of self-confidence. And so I was constantly, being told I was beautiful. But when you go to bed and you wake up the next morning and look in the mirror and, personally, you see it every time you look in the mirror, it's pretty difficult. And
For
so
sure.
you don't necessarily hear those beautiful words coming in, from yourself, and that's ultimately where your confidence comes from. It's
Of
yourself.
course. Yeah.
And yeah, growing up, I just struggled a lot with communicating my feelings, and so I tend to bottle it up because that's kind of how I dealt with it. I didn't really understand how to communicate my feelings, and also a lot of anxiety, built up as well, growing up. And I forgive me, my dog has managed to get
Oh,
out of
don't
the
worry.
Do you mind if I go put him up real quick? Because
No, of
in my
course
head,
not.
I was like, his bark got really loud.
No, no problem at all. You go do
I'll
you
put
go
him
do
up.
what you need to do.
Yes, I'll be back. Yeah, hold on.
Yes, of course. So Heather's just telling us, for those of us just joining us here, she's telling us about her challenges. She's had Bell's palsy now for 20 years. So she said she got it when she was 9. And I would think, like, for teenagers, obviously you have a heck of a time already with your self-confidence. Um, Through adolescence, I know I did. I had a lot of problems with depression and anxiety. So I can't imagine what it would be like to also have Bell's palsy as something to have to deal with. So she's just telling us a little bit about that. And yeah, so being an adolescent growing up with a, facial paralysis, that was definitely something that you struggled with.
Yes, and repeat your question. I'm so sorry. I think I was going off track with your question.
No, no, no. I
Oh,
didn't have a question. I was just letting our listeners know what we were chatting about, because you were going to
okay, yeah,
put your dog away. So,
yeah.
so yeah, so I mean, being an adolescent growing up with facial paralysis. I was just saying, being an adolescent is hard enough, never mind going through with that. But you were just talking about how that made you kind of learn to bottle your feelings up inside and probably just keep it all in, and you're fine, okay. And it's very interesting to me because I tend to find people that I talk to who have Bell's palsy, and it's without exception for those who I've done interviews with, fall into the people pleaser category. We are always doing everything for everybody else all the time. Now, of course, you're a mom and that's part of the gig. That's different. I think, like us being, moms, we do need to learn how to take care of ourselves and take time for ourselves, for sure. But generally in life, so that is a question that I ask, and you've already kind of come into that, where you learn to bottle your feelings up, probably didn't want other people to feel like you were feeling guilty or sad inside, or you didn't want to make your mom feel bad. Does that resonate with you?
Yes, yeah, a lot of it. I tended to bottle it up, and then also not having anybody that could relate, to what I was feeling. And so there wasn't really a connection or, that kind of kickstart to, have the conversation. And I had my dad helping me, with like trying to do facial exercises. Like I can vividly remember sitting in front of him, and I mean, he would make the silliest faces and try to get me to work those muscles, And then also, like, not just the emotional side of it, but also the physical too has been super challenging. When you develop Bell's palsy younger on, your muscles tend to try to overcompensate for the nerve loss. I don't know if you've struggled with this, but so my muscles on the left side of my face have kicked in, and so like when I blink, I don't know if you can see, but like my muscles kind of kick.
And so synchronicity in there. Yeah,
so I tend to have more face cramps now later on. Like when I see my eyes tight, like all of the muscles try to kick in to help, close that eye and help. And so like I get a lot of twitches and my eye itches, and if you see, like I have like a little bag going on.
This side is bigger than this side, and
so I mean, it's still like a lot of people are like, oh, Heather, I don't even notice it, and I'm like, yes, it's there.
It's there. Thanks. So you're like, I know, like,
cool, but
not only do I have paralysis, but now I got an extra big bag on this side and my eyes sunk in, and you're like, thanks, that's cool. Let's just bring it on.
I know. So, and to make things worse, when I was in high school, growing up, I played softball from age 4 to like 17 or 18, and I was trying out for a college team in Florida. And we were throwing the ball, and the girl across from me was a catcher, so she had a heck of an arm. And we were doing a drill. Well, the coach said, stop throwing. We're going to do a different drill. I'm going to have one of the older girls explain the drill. And so everybody stopped throwing, and all of a sudden I turned, I was facing her this way. I turned, and I heard a screaming noise, and I was like, what the heck? And so I turned to look, and sure enough, smack in the face, I got hit with the softball. And so like I turned and tried to, shake it off, and blood just started pouring out. And I basically had a ruptured nose. It was broken.
Oh my gosh, are you serious?
So it's a little crooked. I was like, oh, just one more thing to add to my insecurities. I was 17, when this happened. And so I had 5 different breaks, and my sinuses were ruptured and all kinds of stuff. My mom was like, are you kidding me? Like, what is happening? And so, but deep down, I was like kind of excited, because I was like, oh my gosh, maybe this will smack my nerves, back here, So I was super hopeful, but so they performed. I had to wait for like 4 or 5 days for the surgery to actually take place, because of the swelling was so bad. And so once they finally did surgery, they did rhinoplasty basically and reconstructed my nose, and unfortunately it didn't help at all. And So now I'm stuck with Bell's palsy and a crooked nose. It's like, great. What else? You know?
What else, right?
Yeah,
That's always
so
the way. Oh my
yeah,
gosh, I got
and
a
thank.
sorry, we have a little bit of a delay, so I keep
Uh,
interrupting you. I don't mean to.
no, you're
I
fine.
had a major concussion probably 4 or 5 years ago now too. So
Yeah.
didn't get smacked in the face, but got smacked upside the head.
Oh, oh, yeah. It's a miracle I didn't die
Yeah.
or she hit me in the like temple. I turned, and so I can imagine. How did you get
I
the
got hit
concussion?
by a door and got I fell straight back and smashed my head on the pavement. And
Oh,
I'm really lucky as well. Really, really lucky that I didn't get a brain bleed. But I tend to look at that, look at it positively. Let's have our message. You got to get out, got to help people. And that's what you're wanting to
yeah,
do now after
yeah,
20 years. You said you feel like you've
yeah,
been silent and you want to get out there and use your voice. This makes me very happy to have this kind of platform. This is exactly what my passion is to have
yeah,
people be able to kind of use your voice, because
yeah.
everybody's story matters and everybody might have something little that resonates with somebody else. Now, how did you just decide, hey, you know what, screw it, I'm putting photos up there and I'm getting over it and I'm going to try to
Yeah.
step into the light that
No,
I should be in?
it's funny because like like a few months ago I woke up and I knew I had a dream and I had a dream and I just could sense this overwhelming feeling of I was about to turn 30, and which I will be in January. And it wasn't like a very vain thing, oh, I'm turning old. It was like an overwhelming feeling of I haven't accomplished everything that I want to, feeling. And
Mm-hmm.
so, I've always wanted to be this super encouraging, positive, uplifting person, but I can't be that person, when I have, this, secret, a battle going on in my
Mm-hmm.
head, that I haven't really been open about. And so that was kind of the jump start. And it was funny, I didn't really write the dream down, but I still like just vividly remember the
Feel
feeling.
it. Yeah.
And yeah, and so then both of my aunts just lost their battle with cancer, breast cancer, and so like both of those were strong hits, but my both of them were super encouraging and like very positive, and always told me, Heather, you're beautiful, don't even worry about that. And um, especially my Aunt KK, she was always walking around taking pictures and selfies, and so I was usually the only one that protested her selfies. I would either, make the most ridiculous face or I would just avoid it, altogether. And so I could always hear her saying, Heather, stop, you're beautiful. Like, just take the picture. And so I'm at that point in my life where I'm like, just do it,
Yeah.
take the
Take
picture,
the picture. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
So,
And I think that
yeah.
a lot of our followers here on Bell's palsy have gotten Bell's palsy in their third trimester of pregnancy, because that is a time when you can't get it.
Yeah. I
So
know that's great. I've heard about that. I don't know what triggers it
yeah.
to kind of.
So, well, your body's, I mean, understandably going through a massive trauma. Like being pregnant is
Yeah.
something you're majorly putting your body through and your immune system is low and things like that. But I do really love when our talks encourage, especially new moms, because I also read a story a really long time ago, Bell's palsy aside, that moms, we tend to not take pictures of ourselves with our kids,
Yeah.
and I read that a long time ago. It was before, like, my oldest is 15. And so it was before we always, had your phone with your camera. And I had one of those like super mom cameras. And I read that and I was like, oh, okay, well, that's weird. Why would I want a picture of me? Right. Like, Bell's palsy
Yeah. Yeah.
aside, it was before I had Bell's palsy, but I got this cute baby. Why would I take a picture? And then I
Yeah.
noticed that my favorite photo I have is him like hugging me, and it's him and me.
Yeah.
So now I like to share with new moms, like, it doesn't matter. It's not like there's this big, push if somebody's not ready to post that photo on Instagram or to put yourself out there. Just take it, because you
Yeah.
can just have it for yourself. And
Yeah.
I'll tell you for free, your kids are going to want that when they're 20.
Yes. So
They
true.
don't care. They don't care that your
Yeah.
face
Yeah.
is like that. So you know, that is something that I like to encourage with moms, especially now with our phones. Like, who cares? Like, take the picture, doesn't mean you have to do anything with it. But
Yeah.
to me, that was a really special photo for me. And I think that, you know, our kids are going to want that. Because you think about, what are your favorite photos? You have your two aunts that you're lost. What are your favorite photos? You and her, right?
Yeah.
So that's great. And I really am really proud of you, and I admire you, and I admire your bravery. Everybody
well, you kind of inspired me as well. Like I honestly, out of the 20 years that I've had Bell's palsy, even being on like social media, I've never thought for some reason to just, you know, look up and see if other people, you know, I could, you know, relate to. And so sure enough, I hopped back on Instagram back, I think it was just a couple months ago. I just hopped back on recently. And I was like, you know what, let me look, you know, at least. And so I came across a couple pages, but I saw yours and how, you know, you were using, you know, other people who had Bell's palsy to kind of give them, you know, the encouragement and the voice that they needed. Not that they don't have a voice, but you're giving them a platform, you know, to tell their story. And so I just thought that was so neat. I was like, man, that is what people need, you know, to kind of just talk about it is the first step, you know, really, and admitting, you know, that you have a problem and that it needs to be dealt with and not just pushed to the, you know, to the back burner, because they're important and their feelings, you know, matter.
And that really makes me like, oh, I'm tearing up, because there's a lot of groups and a lot of pages that, and of course we do videos on, you know, excuse me, exercises and facial cupping and things like that. That's awesome. Yeah. I'm super happy to do that. But to me, it is more about talking and getting it out there, because you're right. It's not a problem about our face. It's a problem about our emotions and what that trauma did to ourselves inside. And the fact that you are consciously not taking a photo with your aunt, or consciously not posting something. And it's not because your hair's just out of place. It's because you feel fundamentally like you're not good enough to post the goddamn photo on Instagram, which when we say it out loud, it sounds insane, but we all in this situation feel that way and completely understand. And that's where bringing ourselves together and even having a little chat on a Sunday morning with coffee, you know, helps.
It does.
And you have people around. And my favorite part is the joking around about,
oh my gosh, yes, you know? And so somebody knows exactly what it feels like. That's the major thing. Like, out of the 20 years, like, I haven't been able to, you know, have that conversation with somebody. And I think somebody was asking real quick if I still do facial exercises. Yes, facial exercises and massages, and a lot of other things. But
like every day, I've done some appointments now with the Center for Facial Recovery with Jody, and she's basically, you know, for us with Bell's palsy and the feeds that have any kind of magic pill or anything, like, nope. It's a daily thing that we're gonna have to deal with the rest of our lives. She said basically, like, those muscles, you know, they're not going to fix. You just have to give them different or different muscles will work hard. Like, I'm still new at the process with her, but yeah, it's just something that we have to deal with. And that's why coming together and joking around and
and validating each other's feelings,
because it's a thing. And it's just like, you know, when I was in college and I gained 20 pounds, what do? You go to Weight Watchers. Because why? Because everybody there understands what you're going through. So it's just the same thing. And I'm just loving that. And I'm loving to just help people. And hopefully, you know, today that somebody just kind of says, hey, you know what? If Heather can post that photo with her aunt, I'm going to post that photo with my aunt or something like that. And that's what that's what we want. Because what is the point of having life and going through life?
I know. And that was another thing that I noticed too, is like, not only just like posting, you know, photos and videos, but like turning down a lot of events and social, you know, gatherings. You know, you tend to kind of want to revert because that anxiety just gets too high, you know, and you're like, it's so much easier if I just stayed home, you know. I'm not going to second guess myself or my appearance, you know, and so that's another thing that you kind of have to deal with, is the social anxiety is what I
the hiding
for the time, is just having a one-on-one conversation with somebody and not having my thoughts go, you know, a million different directions, and actually listening to what that person is saying, rather than, and it sounds, like kind of self-centered, like to worry about how you look when you're talking one-on-one with somebody, but it's kind
It's
of
always
hard
there.
to avoid.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a struggle. Like I've almost become ADD in a way. Like when I talk to somebody, I'm just like all over the place. My thoughts go crazy. Sometimes I'll literally just black out on what I'm talking about because of, all the thoughts
Hmm.
in the head.
Yeah, and
And
that's, and that's the thing, and I'm like that too, if you've had a little bit of wine or a lot of wine or whatever, and your face just, that's when your eyes starts getting like really small, and
oh,
someone's like, "Are you
a little bit.
okay?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah. I've
fine."
had people say that too. Do you have a kind of a lazy eye? And
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah, 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 yeah,
yeah, really, really lazy eye.
yeah. Yeah,
It
exactly.
gave up. It gave up on
Yeah.
me.
I gave up on life. We're good. That's awesome. Thank you so much for joining me today, Heather. I feel like we could
But
talk for hours because we have so much in common.
yeah,
Our listeners here, thank you so much for joining us on this Sunday morning. And I do encourage everybody, even if you're not ready to post that photo on social